Next up at UFC 289, we have the featured prelim of the evening. We have Nassourdine Imavov taking on Chris Curtis. Nassourdine Imavov, 12-4 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off the embarrassing loss to Sean Strickland. He's taking on Chris Curtis, 30-10, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off a close loss to Kelvin Gastelum not that long ago. Was it a month and a half, 2 months? That was not that long ago. This is a pretty quick turnaround, and I don't think Chris is like really stepping up on short notice here. Like this was just booked. So it's not as if, Chris stepped in this week to make something happen. You look like you have a smirk, like you have something to say. What's your problem?
What? I'm just sitting here.
My
Jesus.
Bad. It's an interesting fight for sure because Nassourdine Imavov, he's a busy striker. He continues to move forward. He can strike and counter strike all while moving, which is very nice. He has takedowns. He has control when he uses those takedowns. And he does have 3 in 4 fights. So he's not getting a million takedowns. He's not even getting them in every single fight, but he does have them. And when he sort of is behind on the striking, he looks to work those in and then get that control time, take a round back, stuff like that. He's got a real nice jab. He's got solid elbows. He looks pretty comfortable mixing it up. But he's coming off that embarrassing loss to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland stepped up on short notice, talking about how he was 280 pounds, whatever the hell. And he just outworked him. He just absolutely outworked Imavov. And the takeaway from that was this guy's overrated. Like, those were my notes. Everybody knows I take notes every fight that I'm able to watch. I write exactly what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling when I'm watching it. And I just wrote
Alcohol-infused notes?
I wrote overrated.
You wrote overrated.
3 ice cubes. 3 ice cubes.
As you were throwing up in the toilet, watching it on your phone.
You know what? This is the best thing.
You're like, you know what? Actually, let's address this.
This podcast is the best thing for my alcoholism because I don't drink on recording nights.
Would you
submit
to a breathalyzer right now?
Yeah, 100%.
A
At
blood
least
test?
one night a week. Yeah.
For drugs?
I drank last. Oh, actually, I didn't even drink last night. Oh my god.
Oh my God! Look how alert you are! Wow.
Yeah.
Skin's getting clear up.
Oh jeez.
How's that back acne?
Well, that's the steroids. That's
Steroids, huh? Jesus Christ. That must
Anyway,
be
he's taking on
Chris. Almost got real mean there.
He's taking on
your Conor McGregor face.
He's taking on Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis, we talked about Nassourdine Imavov being able to move forward while striking and counter-striking. Chris Curtis only knows how to counter-strike. He doesn't really set that pressure pace. He doesn't get in your face, make stuff happen, but he is a phenomenal counter-striker. Very good counter-striker. He rolls with everything, sends stuff firing back, and that's how he has so many knockouts in the UFC. People are getting comfortable. They're touching him up early. They feel like they're accomplishing something. And then whoop, boom, right there. Chris Curtis with a very short left hook, ready to go, firing back immediately. But what makes this a tricky fight? So striking-wise, it's going to be interesting because Nassourdine likes to come forward. Nassoudine's going to pump a jab, probably be the busier striker. Chris Curtis is going to be the much better counter striker, have way more power, but not as much volume. And Chris Curtis has insane takedown defense. So Imavov is not going to take him down. So now we're in a striking matchup. Very good counter striker versus more of a pressure guy, more of a volume guy. I got to go with Imavov here, but I have never picked a Chris Curtis fight correctly. I pick him to win, he loses. I pick him to lose, he wins. I have not picked a Chris Curtis fight correctly. I'm fading myself at this point on these breakdowns with Chris Curtis, but I think the overrated Imavov can be a little busier, can avoid the big power, and the dude is so much longer, so much taller that Chris may have a little trouble with the counter striking. And at times, he's just too counter striking. It's just too much. Like, he's got to come forward a little bit more. And he is coming off that loss to Kelvin. That was a razor thin fight, but ultimately it was probably that headbutt that cost him that because he lost that round. It looked like he was dropped when he wasn't, and the rest is his angry Twitter history. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, let me preface my breakdown with saying that I probably am a little bit biased because I think I've picked Chris Curtis in every single fight. I mean, we're on the kind of opposite sides of how we feel about Chris Curtis, but I think I literally have picked him in every single. I was the one that said he was going to knock out Phil Hall. I said he was going to knock out Brendan Allen. I'm a big Chris Curtis fan in this fight. And let me just say this too. Nassourdine Imavov, I believe in my mind this is an easier fight than the Sean Strickland fight. But it's a much more dangerous fight for him because of the power and the counter-striking that Chris Curtis possesses. Because Chris Curtis fights exactly like Sean Strickland. He's going to move forward. He's going to move forward. The difference is Sean Strickland is constantly throwing strikes while he's moving forward. He's boom, 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 boom. Where, as you mentioned, Chris Curtis will just stalk, wait for those counter shots. And when he lands those counter shots, they absolutely hurt. I mean, he landed probably 4 or 5 knockout blows on Kelvin Gastelum. But because it's Kelvin Gastelum, who's just got a granite chin and you can't really hurt that guy, he was able to work through those positions. But Chris Curtis looked good in that fight. I mean, he was landing some really, really slick shots. And what I love, and I think the difference in this fight is going to be the body work of Chris Curtis. A lot of his knockouts come from working the body. And one of his best shots, in my mind, as a southpaw against a conventional fighter, is that big left body shot, that big liver shot. He just digs the body. Kelvin Gastelum's a southpaw, so he was working the body with that right hand, but his power hand, the way he's able to dig those body shots on a conventional fighter, and you saw when Sean Strickland is moving forward and he's lighting them up. I mean, Sean Strickland doesn't really light people up, I should say, but when he's landing shots, Nassourdine Imavov does have a very high guard, and those body shots are open, and Chris Curtis is so good at landing the body shots. The issue is for Chris Curtis is, and what Sean Strickland didn't have to mess with in that fight was, that was an apex. That was a smaller cage. It's much easier to track somebody down in that apex cage. Nassourdine Imavov is going to have a lot more room. He's going to have a lot more action in this fight because Chris Curtis doesn't throw a lot of volume in stocks, but it is going to be a bigger cage. So, long story short, this fight's going to look, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it's going to look one of two ways. I think Chris Curtis is going to come in, land power, knock this guy out, look absolutely fantastic, or it's going to look like a Chris Curtis loss. It's going to look like the Jack Hermanson loss, where Nassourdine Imavov is going to be dancing around. He's going to be touch out, and Chris Curtis is going to get frustrated. He's not going to be able to get to him, and he's going to lose a kind of a boring decision. But I got all the faith in the world. I think the fact that his teammate, Sean Strickland, came in, walked him down, had success. They know what's going on. Their coach is now looking to be 3-0 versus the striking coach or the head coach of the French team, the Imavov team. I think they're going to have a great game plan. Chris Curtis seems like he's locked in more than ever. He's in great shape. He's already talking about maybe even moving to 170, and he's looking thin. I think he's cut some weight. He's going to come in, pressure with volume this time, and he's going to land some big shots, and I think he can knock this guy out because I don't think he's worried about power on the side of Imavov. He rolls with stuff way too well. Even when you're hitting him clean, you can't really hit him clean. So I'm all Chris Curtis in this fight. I'm willing to die on this hill because I think it's a good matchup for him, and those body shots I think are going to be there for him.
Well, and I've got a little bet on Chris Curtis. I know you have some bets on this as well. If you want to see Jacobs become a premium member, the bet I have on this fight,
we had the same one.
Well, I was trying not to tell them that yours was the same because, like, you know.
Well, I have other ones too, and I got better value than you. I can't believe it opened up what it was.
Well, so we got Chris Curtis wins inside the distance, decision, no action, meaning. And everybody, every time we mention this bet, somebody's like, mine doesn't have it. Wait, where is it on DraftKings? On DraftKings, it's called finish only. Basically, what the bet means is if Chris Curtis knocks out or somehow submits Nassourdine Imavov, we get paid. I got it at plus 100. You got it at plus 150.
I can't believe it was plus
150.
It's wild. I literally thought that they had the odds flipped. I thought it was wrong when I saw that. Somebody put in the Discord. By the way, Discord's 100% free. Join the Discord, link below. Somebody put that in Discord. I was like, there's no way that's right. And I was like, holy shit. Because he's a durable dude. Go ahead.
Well, and as I say, I only mentioned half the bet. If Chris Curtis gets a finish, you get paid. If it goes to a decision, win, lose, doesn't matter. If it draw.
Do you know what it is right now?
Well, hold on. If it goes to a decision, you get a full refund. The bet never happened. I will probably end up with a refund here, but okay. What is it now?
Minus 115.
Okay.
I got it for plus 150. Yeah. Become a fucking premium member. I mean, that
you
value
got the alert
is just
on your phone.
Unreal. I knew that was fucked up. They fucked up on that one.
If you were a premium member and first of all, at minus 115, it is still good money.
I think, it's still good value. I would say it's minus 150 is where I would put it. Like where that's, you're like, okay, agree. You know.
Yeah, I would agree with that because Chris Curtis is not a guy that you really can, you're not going to knock him out. Now, granted, he did just get dropped by that headbutt with Kelvin, but he was dropped. He wasn't out. He recovered and still made his way to a decision.
Yeah, he was still fine. Yeah, and he would have won that fight if it wasn't for that. How's that appeal going? I don't know.
It's gonna go. They never go anywhere. It's almost pointless to do it. They literally never go anywhere. But anyway, I think that's a great bet. If you're a premium member, link your Discord so you can get those alerts. And Jacob got it at plus 150. I did it the next day at plus 100. I should have tailed it when I saw it, but I was like, I'm always a little skittish early in the week, and then I just let it fly. Premium member, WeOnPicks.com, $10 a month, $7,700 in DraftKings, $8,500 in DraftKings. It's a tricky one. I'm going to have to look a little closer on Nassoudine's numbers to see if because it's 3 rounds. It's going to be mostly striking. We're not going to see any takedowns. Nassoudine's going to land more strikes than he normally does because there's not going to be any takedowns in this at all. But, man, I don't know what kind of numbers he's going to put up. This is definitely probably a pick your side kind of fight. I'll have to look. You're going to spend the 77 on Chris Curtis and DraftKings?
It's going to be boom. It's going to be hop, hop, hop. And then Nassoudine's going to lower that and then out.
Oh, I hope so. I'll get the pick wrong all day if my bet hits. Then we have a $2 super chat from Sam Pierce. He says, Jasmine or Nate score more in DK. Is he talking about, there's only one Nate in the card, right? Nate Landwehr?
Nate the Train. Choo choo.
Man, that's such a tricky question.
We'll get to Nate and we'll talk about Nate. But
yeah, well, and the only reason I was going to wait, but it was a super chat. That's a tough question to answer. Very tough question to answer.
Someone said, Curtis only knocked out the midget Buckley. What are you talking about? No, he knocked out Phil Hawes, which now we know. I mean, he probably is the one that made Phil Hawes chinny, honestly. And then he knocked out Brendan Allen, and Brendan Allen is smoking everyone now.
Yeah. People don't know what they're talking about. It's incredible. Chris Toronto does know what he's talking about. He's a premium member. He just super chatted $10, and he says, you guys have been spot on with your analysis. Keep up the great work. I'm up 12 units, another week in a row, and I can take another vacation. Let's go. And Chris has been an OG. This dude has been here since like the minute we had anything. He was here. So thank you for the support all these years. And I'm glad that, we're able to help you out. I'm glad this is working out for you. So thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you very much for the premium promo, basically. WeOnPicks.com, $10 a month. Be like Chris Toronto.